Now, I do want to ask you this. It appears that I've looked at your website, dude. You've got a great website, and it looks like you're doing a radio program. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I haven't actually. My comedy website is davearena.com, just like sports arena, ARENA. So that's my comedy website. But then I also have another website that goes along with the radio show, and that's called It Doesn't Matter You're Gonna Die. So it's itdoesn'tmatteryou'regonnadie.com. You can also find it through idmygd.com because it's kind of a long, so we just shortened it by the letters. And what the whole concept, and we have a radio show, an online radio show through Blog Talk Radio that goes along with it called It Doesn't Matter You're Gonna Die. And the whole concept is basically people get to vent and bitch about their lives, whether it's personal matters, whether it's, the cable company that pissed them off, whether it's something in the news or politics or celebrities, whatever's bugging them. And then we have self-help experts and comedians on that kind of try to dissolve the situation using humor. So the whole concept is kind of like don't sweat the small stuff, and kind of everything is small stuff. Nothing really matters. Like what I mean? Like even things that we think are, even things that we label bad is really just a label we put on it. Whether we get fired from a job or we go through financial trouble, and then you look back on it several years later and you're like, that was actually one of the best things that could have happened to me. We label things as bad, and it's just kind of the universe working in our favor always. You know what I mean? So it has a little self-help meets comedy in there. You know what I mean? But we even get into payback ideas sometimes. Like I've had situations with my neighbor here, and we're 5 people in a New York apartment with 3 kids. So sometimes we make some noise, and a lot of times she gets pissed off and she does stupid shit. So I'll do things to, just funny things, not anything hurtful, but just funny little pranks or payback ideas, and I put them up on the website. So, that's one of the things we do. We let people bitch, and we either give them some humorous advice to kind of dissolve the situation, or we may even give them payback ideas and be like, oh, well, you should do this. You should write a letter that says this, or what, funny things. And then if we get evidence of that, if they take a picture of it or whatever, we put it up on the site. So that's kind of the whole concept behind it. Again, it's, just trying to give back and create something that's bigger than me and my comedy, so that, I can build a loyal fan base, but also be able to have some kind of outlet that gives them something, in return. So that's kind of my whole philosophy on it.
Sure. And so how is that going for you? I mean, are you developing a following from your Blog Talk Radio program?
Yeah, it's actually been, so far so good. It's been kind of surprising the response we've gotten. I can tell you that I think we started late February, early March, so we've been, not even doing it, a year now, maybe 7 or 8 months. And, I could tell you I was never on Twitter before, and now I'm at Twitter, which is at IDMYGD. And we went from 0 followers to I think now we're almost at 6,000 followers. So, we're gaining about 800 to 1,000 followers a month. The radio show on Blog Talk, it peaked at number 2 on the comedy category out of over 2,000 shows. A couple weeks ago, we had over 12,000 listeners. And we're even starting to get some, national headlining comedians as guests. We had Lana Turner on 2 weeks ago, Ralphie May's wife, talking about their new podcast. And we have Jimmy Schubert on this week. He's a national headliner. He's had his own Comedy Central present. So, we're starting to get some buzz and, starting to get some names attached to it. But, so we're kind of proud of what it's become. So I do that I'm the host. I do it here out of Brooklyn, and my co-hosts call in from Cleveland. They're 2 of the guys I started with there, Tim Cornette and John Wellington, both comedians still in the Cleveland area. So I'll tell you what, with all these podcasts going on, and you've probably heard a lot of them, Steve, where it's more just comedians getting on talking to each other, or they're real edited and it's more interview style. This is really like unconventional. This is like it's a live radio show because it's we want people to call in and bitch and vent about stuff, so it's a live environment, so that's what makes it different. And then the other thing is we don't edit anything and we don't make it pretty. I mean, this is like my Italian family being around the table, you know, where everyone's trying to out-talk each other and cut people off and talk louder. You know what I mean? If you're not the loudest one, you're not going to get heard. So, you know, it's that type of environment which can kind of, yeah, it's kind of different. But yeah, I mean, you know, we cut each other off and just chime in. You know, so I think that's what people like. In some ways, I think that kind of gives it a charm and a uniqueness that people kind of like. You know, so it's definitely not your polished, like, interviewee podcast, if you get what I'm saying.
No, I hear exactly what you're saying. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, Dave, I am really impressed with the progress that you've made, making the transition from the Midwest to New York,